Could you see my screen now?
Yes.
The lowest frequency groups are incilones, 1 oronyms, 4 theonons, names denoting Slavic deities, 5 and anthroponyms, names of parable characters, 6, and names of the 7 wonders of the world, 6. We calculated as well the proponame group coverage of the text according to the formula 11s, where GO is the proponame group and N is the total number of words in the text. We calculated as well the proponame group coverage of the proponame vocabulary according to the formula 12, where GO is the proponame group and ON is the total number of proponames in the text. The calculation data are given in table 1. Here you can see this data. Table 2 shows the results of calculating the proponame frequency distribution on the basis of frequency dictionary of proponames in a 17th century original text, sorted in the decreasing frequency order. The table shows that one proponame with the usage frequency in the range of 500-999 and one proponame with the frequency in the range of 400-499 have been recorded in the text Antonia Radovelovsky, Baroque Sermons of the 17th century. For example, it was recorded one time. Interestingly, that no lemmas fall in the range between 399 and 18, while the largest number of proponame have a usage frequency of 1, 2, and 3. On these figures, you can see the graphic representation of the distribution of proponames having frequency between 920 and between 19 and 1 in the decreasing frequency order. And the data are based on the table 2. Here you can see some examples of frequency-rated proponames. For example, the highest frequency proponame are Tsar Nebesny, 677, Tsar Neba и Земли Христос Спаситель, 428, Духом Святым, 77, etc. Interestingly, almost 1/2 of proponames are unique with a usage frequency of 1. For example, Justinian, Plutarch, Alexandru Tsaritsu, Muri Вавилонский, Rika Nil, etc. And conclusions, I can see that working with an original 17th century text, we have been able to reveal the specific historical features of the analyzed material at different stages of the study. Using a sequential algorithm, we compiled the frequency dictionary of proponames in a 17th century original text, sorted in the decreasing frequency order, describe the volume of the text and its vocabulary, the variety of proponames in it, as well as the number of low-frequency names, so-called hapax legumina, the onomastic space of historical records of the Ruthenian language, studied through the prism of quantitative measurement, allow us to draw conclusions about the worldview paradigms of the 17th century intellectuals and identify proper names which were significant for the preacher and his audience. In particular, analysis of proper names attested in the publication Antoni Radovelovsky has shown that Baroque preachers saw the gospel as the main and undisputed authority among books, thinking in context of the Christian doctrine, and being a zealous Christian, they also believed that the Holy Trinity, composed of God the Father, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit, was the supreme being and ranked the Virgin Mary very high as well. This was also determined by the themes of the sermons, most of which were festive ones. As a polyglot and erudite, Radovelovsky expanded the proper name range of sermons by using proper name of thinkers, historians, and poets. For example, Avzoni, Platon, Sophocles, etc. And this study is important for comparing the frequently used words or hapax legomena established in the dictionary with the text of different genres and historical periods in historical corpora to identify intertextual connections, for example, with Bible. Further studies are warranted to compare the proper name frequency dictionary based on the 17th century sermons with other texts of this genre in synchronic and diachronic perspectives, as well as with text of other genres, which will add new data on the usage frequency of different proper name groups developed on their secondary meaning, ratio of one and multi-component proper names. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. So you're welcome to ask questions.
Sorry, we have no time for questions.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for reminding. Thank you. So the next speakers, unfortunately, we don't have the next speakers. So because of the technical problems. So it's Lilia Chernish and Halyna Antoniuk, Diachronic Analysis of Lexicographic Sources of Military Terminology, National University Lviivska Polytechnica. But their presentation is available on the YouTube channel. So you're welcome to just watch the presentation, and if you have any questions, the authors would be happy to answer. So the next presenter is Olena Andrushenko. The scope of just evidence from information structure annotation in diachronic English corpora, Kyiv National Linguistic University. You're welcome.
Hello, dear colleagues, and I would like to present the results of the study on focusing adverb just in Middle and Early Modern English corpora. I hope everybody can see the screen that I shared. So
yes,
I may proceed. So as a focus marker in modern English, just can be used as an exclusive, meaning only the first example, or as a particularizer in the sense of exactly the second example on the slide. And our research is aimed at identifying grammaticalization decline for Middle and Early Modern English focusing adverb, just applying information structural analysis to corpus data based on discourse representation theory and CISX software model. So the core idea of the framework is to track whether the DP is a new discourse referent or not, and each discourse referent is stacked on the given new plane, taking into account the extended annotation scheme, which is presented in table 1, and labeling all the relevant constituents for the information status presupposes employing reference resolution, which shows whether DP refers back to another element. So the computer software CISX enables to resolve coreference semi-automatically, and the automatic search is enriched with the possibility to ask the user input in ambiguous cases, and the search algorithm for new given information detection is summarized on the slide, so it consists of several steps. So the software automatically determines as many anaphoric links as possible, so low right yellow window in the second figure. And once a solution corresponds to the one of the built-in suspicious situations, CISX stops to ask the user decision. After this process, the information status of individual linguistic expression is further identified in terms of topic and focus, and table 2 summarizes the texts which were applied to the analysis of this type of dichotomy. And in our case, we are more interested in different types of foci because just represents the focus in adverb. And this methodology allows complex tagging of clause components in parsed corpora. So the patterns with adverb just are retrieved from 2 diachronic corpora. The first one is the corpus of Middle English prose and verse, and the second one is early English books online. After automated search, the examples with just are checked based on the context to differentiate adverbial and other parts of speech senses. And in case of just functions as the adverb, I specifically consider its meaning in terms of its acquiring a particularizer or an exclusive function. So this type of analysis is based on question under discussion method. The study puts forward the following hypothesis. So the client for adverb just grammaticalization presupposes its functioning as an adjective, then polysemous adverb, then particularizer, and maybe exclusive adverb. So form and spelling variants. So Middle English corpus data show that 2 forms of just and used entered Middle English approximately in 1300s, and they all are most frequently used adjectively. Based on the frequency figures, the form just is more prone to categorical shifts and develops into the dominant adverbial spelling variant in further centuries. So this was our supposition, since, as you see, so that the number of adverbial usage of just was not that much. So the analysis of these 2 forms in EEBO, presented in figures 5 and 6, justify this speculation. So just is becoming more often employed in the text starting from 1600. Meaning, according to the tokens retrieved from Middle English corpus, adverbial just arises in 1417, presumably from the adjective justa. To speculate on this transformation, a special reference should be made to some examples from Middle English corpus where this form may get a double reading. And so it may be due to the post-modifying placement of adjective, and only the contextual analysis and the knowledge of the clause structure specifics helps to differentiate the adjectival sense and the adverbial sense. The early stages of such transformations involve metaphorical abstractions, and this hypothesis finds evidence in Ehrman, who claims that just in the meaning of exactly has been derived from the adjective with the meaning of fair, correct, and precise. Overall, entries of adverb just in Middle English corpus indicate that the dominant particularizer meaning is associated with the notion of exactness. So the major senses are distributed as follows: in exact or accurate manner, fitting snugly and immediately. So the exclusive function was not registered by us in Middle English corpus. Early modern English findings from EEBO are analyzed in terms of frequency while rendering the adverbial meaning with a reference to every decade up to 1650s. And the analysis of tokens in the years from 1500 to 1550s points to just gradual increase in usage per million words, reaching the figure of 120 in 1550s. The overall ratio for adverbial just rises to 4.38%, also demonstrating the meaning of extension, the extension of meaning, which can be seen in table 6. It testifies to the development of the polysemantic sense of the adverb with its dominant particularizer function, meaning exactly or precisely. The meaning of amount and time can also be interpreted as the right. It's just the time, as we say. The next time frame shows significant decline of the meaning of exactly, whilst the number of examples with just emphasizing the amount and time doubles. Moreover, a new function arises that is modifying degree and comparison. The distribution for 1600s, 1650s in table 8 shows the abrupt drop of the sense of justly, meaning manner, and whilst the particularizer meaning becomes dominant. Another interesting feature here for this period is the emergence of just in its exclusive function, and here is the example. And we may assume that the grammaticalization climb for just appears as hypothesized, with exclusive sense of just arising in 1620s. Information structure. So based on information actualization, the following word orders are considered with the tokens retrieved, and they are represented on the slide. The investigation of Middle English is aimed at highlighting the general tendencies due to limited statistics, and thus just in the postposition to the element it is adjacent to. That is the patterns SVO just and SVOV in terms of infinitive just tends to be used when the preceding components represents new information and emphatic focus. In such instances, just functions as a particularizing, meaning fitting snugly or immediately. The word order pattern SVO just X is registered with X element text as situationally accessible information and identificational focus. The clauses with inverted word orders like OSV just X and others are represented only by the isolated instances in the entire Middle English corpus. The analysis of word order for every time span in early modern English shows that mostly just is represented in the patterns where it modifies XPs that follow the verb, and this regularity is already dominant for 1500, 1550s. Figure 7 demonstrates that the post-modifying placement of just in the clauses where the adverb is adjacent to the XP conveys new information and emphatic focus. Constructions SVO just X are registered when the element represents X element represents new information and informational focus, and this is typical of just as a particularizer, marking the amount of time and very rarely location. Whereas the same adverb highlighting given or situational accessible information and for this adverb highlighting given or situationally accessible information and identificational focus, this tendency is going to be reversed, and the XPs pertain to the specification of location and action, which was registered in 51% of such instances. So the years 1550, 1600 testify to the adverb greater positional variability, especially for just in a post-modifying placement. And in all these cases, the information marked by just is represented as new, referring to emphatic focus. And significantly, the number of instances with post-modifying just triples in this period, which is not the distinctive feature of the next 50-year time frame, since the share for the rigid SVO order rises to 84%, with just in a pre-modifying position following either the verb or the object. The time frame 1600-1650s displays a slight reduction in the ratio of marking new information and informational focus in the SVO pattern, with the redistribution in favor of given information and identificational focus. This fact is evidenced as the crystallization of the particularizer function of just, and the ratio of clauses where the element is marked by just that renders emphatic focus significantly arises for both 1550s, as I mentioned before, and for 1600-1650s time frames, with just predominantly occupying the first position in the sentences causing the inverted word order. So the data allow assuming that adverb just firstly registered in 1417s originates from the adjectives due to ambiguous reading in the records, and it's not until 1500s that just goes through the grammaticalization process, extending its original Middle English sense, with a significant rise of adverbial component in 1600-1650s. Thus, its initial meaning of exactly and precisely is enriched with further specialization on particularizer functions, while its exclusive sense of only becomes evident only after 1600s. The corpus analysis by means of reference resolution annotation tools allows investigating word order and information structure correlation with reference to focus in just. Its major function by 1650s become marking the identificational focus and situationally accessible or given information, typical of the modern adverbial particularizer, and this fact provides further evidence for adverb grammaticalization. Thank you for your attention.
Dear participants, thank you, the presenter. Do you have any questions? Okay, if there are no questions, let's proceed with the next speaker. So group of scholars, Mariia Bekhta-Hamanchuk, Halyna Oleksiv, Tetiana Shestakevych, and Yuliia Shyika, quantitative parameters of Jack London's short stories collection, Children of Frost, and its translation, Lviv Polytechnic National University.
Hello, dear colleagues, honorable host of the conference. Just a second, I am sharing my screen. Sorry. Honorable host, do you see my
Yes.
presentation?
Yes.
Yeah. I beg your pardon. I will, for a time of presentation, turn off my camera because my internet connection is really weak today. I'm sorry. I beg your pardon. So, honorable colleagues, honorable host, on the behalf of the authors, let me introduce our research paper, Quantitative Parameters of Jack London's Short Stories Collection, Children of the Frost, and its translation. So one of the key issues in modern linguistics is natural language processing, and nowadays there is a number of information technologies enabling an automated search with the aim of forming the factual basis of the research, and corpora of text is one of them. So the corpus of text is a central concept in corpus linguistics, and it's object of the study. And research in corpus linguistics is facilitated by special software tools like concordances and corpus managers, which provide various opportunities to obtain the necessary information from the corpus. Thus, the corpora allows addressing the variety of research questions in.
I'm terribly sorry, the presenter, but
sorry?
the slides do not change.
Yeah, I'm not changing them.
Okay.
We are still on the second slide. So corpora allow addressing the variety of research questions and have been applied in a wide range of linguistic disciplines, including lexicography, grammar, discourse analysis, and stuff like that. Generally understood as the collection of text, the term corpus can have different meanings in various disciplines. In the field of linguistics, the corpus refers to any collection of data obtained for the purpose of linguistic research, but the term is used in a different way in corpus linguistics, and it refers to collection of samples of language.
We cannot see the presentation. The slides do not change. Yeah, try again. Yeah, now they change. Okay.
No, okay, I want to have it full screen. Sorry. So corpus should possess the following properties, like we have on the slide. The instance of language use contained in it are authentic. The collection is representative of the language or language variety under investigation, and the collection of samples should be large. Oh, sorry. So as a rule, the research process within a corpus involves the following stages. So that is the selection of source of linguistic material, then is data entry, then philological verification, text editing. The fourth step is converting and grammatical analysis, which includes recording of non-textual elements or their removal and division of the text into structural parts. Then we go to the stage of providing text and their components with individual information, that is like text markup. And then we go to converting of marked texts into the corpus and providing access to it. To serve as the basis of the scientific research, a corpus should not only have a significant volume or contain data of various types, but also it should possess the following feature, like representativeness. So the corpus must represent all the features of the particular area. Then its balance. Corpus representatives largely depends on how balanced a corpus is. And the last thing is machine readability. It's the main criterion for electronic text corpus. And machine readability also requires encoding of corpus data. The purpose of the language corpus is to show the functioning of linguistic units in the natural contextual environment, and the following prerequisites form the basis of the further creation and usage of corpora. So first prerequisite is like corpus should be substantial and balanced, should contain substantial balanced volume of the corpus guarantees the typicality of the data and provides the whole spectrum of linguistic phenomena. Also, various data which are included in the corpus are in their natural contextual form, which creates the possibility of their comprehensive and objective study. And once created and prepared data set can be used repeatedly by different researchers. The next important step in building corpus is marking and annotation. So document markup refers to labeling similar to HTML code used to indicate features of a document like paragraphs, fonts, sentences, and so on. Just a second, changing slides. Sorry. Yeah. And corpus annotation can take many forms that can be implemented in different levels. So in the phonological level, morphological level, lexical, and syntactical. So the most common form of corpus annotation includes tags of the parts of speech which mark each word in the corpus as a grammatical category, like nouns, adjectives, adverbs, and so on. These tags facilitate setting a number of issues about a simple search for a particular keyword. Corpus analysis software tools vary in functionalities, but all of them facilitate to search the corpus for a specific set of linguistic units. Most of these software packages have the following features. So first, they create quick or keyword in context concordance. Also, they identify the collocations of the expressions, and then they form a list of frequencies. Generally, every modern software tool used in corpus linguistics research are fast and rich in different features, which facilitates studies. So, in this research, the analysis of Jack London's collection of short stories, Children of the Frost, has been conducted on the basis of the digitally processed and marked up corpus of original text and their Ukrainian translations. It covers a number of characteristics which have been compared. Here and after, we propose some denotations. For example, we denoted the text volume as N, the number of different words, it's we, the number of sentences S, and so on and so on. And as it can be seen from the table, in the process of translation, the number of functional words decreased, as well as text volume and number of words in the text with a frequency of 10 or more. So it's N and 10, this number. The number of different words forms is high in the target text, which is predictable at least because the Ukrainian language has 7 cases, as opposite to 2 cases in English language. The frequency of each part of speech in the text and the vocabulary of the author and the translator has been compared, since the ratio of parts of speech is an important statistical parameter of the individual style of both the author and a particular work. So the most frequent in the source and target text are functional words. Pronouns have similar high activity in the text and cover about 13% of the text. And approximately the same share in the text and the vocabulary is covered by the adverbs and numerals. Nouns, verbs, and adjectives are also very frequent words. These parts of speech represent the vocabulary richness of the source and target text, and their ratio confirms that the nominal character of the individual style of the original text has been preserved in the translation. Linguistic and statistical analysis of the corpus under research has been carried out, and the following characteristics of the corpus have been calculated. So that is the average word length, the average frequency of the words in the text, exclusivity index of the text, and so on. So I will not emphasize on this information right now. All the formulas and all the calculations you can see in the main body of the article. As presented in this table, the main indicators that characterize the individual style in the source and target text do not differ significantly, except the average word frequency, which in source text is almost twice higher, and the coefficient of embolism is 10 times higher in the target text than in the source text. So it shows that actually the translators stick to the text closely, and they conveyed the author style in their translation. So concluding the research, it can be noted that the number of word usages in the source text exceeds the number of word usages in the target text, both in the whole corpus and in separate stories. Indices of vocabulary richness, exclusivity for the text and the vocabulary, the concentration of the vocabulary do not differ significantly. The main used parts of speech in English and Ukrainian text are nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. The translation preserved the ratio of different parts of speech. The number of pronouns, adverbs, and functional words in the vocabulary of the text has slightly decreased. The index of epiphysation does not differ significantly in the source and target text, and the index of verb phrases is higher in the source text than in the target. The last thing, the degree of nominality shows the number of nouns per verb, and in the source text there are 1.32 nouns per verb, in the target text 1.22 per one. Therefore, the degree of regression is identical in source and target texts and equals 0.19. This confirms the fact that the nominal character of the source text has been accurately reproduced in the target text. So overall, as I have already mentioned, the translators preserved the author styles in their target text if to compile with the source text. So thank you for your attention, and once again, beg your pardon for not having camera on.
Thank you. Thank you for your research and presentation. Do we have any questions to the speaker? So if there are no questions, we will proceed with the next speakers, but not to get interrupted, maybe we will redial. We will join our meeting once again, yeah, because we have this limit of time, 3 minutes. So
Okay.
let's redial. Thank you.